What's up guys, welcome back. So Spellbooks for the TCG, January 2024. So let's take a look. You'll see through the replays that I changed the deck list throughout testing. And sometimes coping a little bit on a couple of cards, like the ritual one, because of the, Dogmatica Matrix, the continuous spell. That going second, it's kind of a strong card. Downside, you have to run the ritual monster as well. And I was running it at some point in the beginning, the first few games. And obviously this is a deck going first. But the thing is that those cards, and especially if you draw into them, open with them, they are very mediocre. You want other cards, going second cards, that are good going first as well. I'm looking at Imperm, you know, a hand trap. And Fenrir. Fenrir is a later edition. So at this point, earlier duels, I was running the ritual, basically because off of your Ecclesia, you're able to search out the continuous spell, right? Which is basically another spell to potentially fuel your Spellbook of Judgment. And here I make a small mistake. You know, you just don't have to search more spells. You're kind of wasting a later game, or you know, mid game, late game. Because you want to have those different spellbooks in your deck, right? Still to potentially search and trigger another Spellbook of Judgment, because that can special summon a spellcaster, and all of your spellcasters, basically all your monsters are spellcasters. You know, Cartesia, Ecclesia, and so on, right? So there's a Dogmatica package. It speaks for itself. The deck is not running Yugioh. Before, you know, Spellbook of Judgment fetched Yugioh. The play behind, or the thought process behind this one is trying to get yourself to 4 spells activated after Spellbook of Judgment, which for this deck it's not that hard. You know, secrets, the whole spellbook galore. You have triple upstart, which again we got back in the TCG, and I might be coping again, but I'm running the Toon World engine, which I think it's okay, especially with 3 Spellbook of Judgment. I'm running a little over 40 cards to lower the chances a little bit to draw multiple Toon Worlds, or, you know, Toon Table of Contents. And on top of that, Magician's Souls gets rid of the excessive spells. So I think it's fine, especially with 3 Spellbook of Judgment, both going first and going second. Other cards, I'm running, I was about to say, yeah, two hand traps, like, well, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, which could be a lot, especially if going first, you want to have as many spells as possible, right? And that's where, let's say, if you open up from the 5-card hand Imperm Ash, then you basically only have 3 cards to work with. And, you know, that's, and imagine a Spellbook of Judgment, so that's already, Judgment needs more spells, right, to fuel. And that's where the potential Toon Table of Contents comes into play to, you know, trigger and fuel your Spellbook of Judgment. To kind of potentially capitalize on the fact that you might have opened multiple hand traps, or, you know, cards that don't let you play. So another example, like this was the board that I'm working towards to. Again, the Ritual Monster is there, which I eventually dropped. I don't think it's needed. You're just playing into Nibiru for no reason. Sure, you're destroying their extra deck. But I don't think it's worth the extra deck spots, or, you know, the main deck spots, I mean. So this is the play. Like, Winda basically serves the same purpose as Yugioh, but much bigger attack stat. It's much harder to destroy or get rid of compared to Yugioh, which, you know, in the old school days you would protect with Fate, a much slower spellbook deck. That's not possible now, it's far too slow. Eventually dropped to the field spell as well. But with this play, you're able to, you know, go for Grand Greek Null as well. Special summon that, for example, to the extra monster zone. And Greek Null has the capability to send this one, Malong, from your extra deck to the graveyard to bounce a card from your opponent. So it's basically an interruption. So as soon as your opponent, like, special summons a monster, maybe a big beat stick, as you saw one of the Fire Kings, that could potentially attack over Winda, you can just bounce that away, right? So that's really cool, because Grand Greek Null cannot send Antis. That's important. So this combo is pretty sweet. Plus, Grand Greek Null in the graveyard or on field can tag out for the Lilith, which is basically another boss monster for this deck. One of the bigger weaknesses of this deck is as soon as it turns out into like mid or even late game, it's very hard for this deck to grind. And as you see, that if it wasn't for Snatch Steal, I would have won this game, but Snatch Steal is there, it's back. So let's see. Try to recover with, Fleur, with Lilith still on field, Maximus on field to, destroy their extra deck on one hand, but, Fire Kings can play through that. They don't really need their extra deck, or can, they can just keep their rank 8, at least as one of the lasts in the extra deck. And on the other hand, yeah. Oh, there was also a point where I wasn't running any rank or level 8 synchros, bar Omega. Eventually I added in Burrow Savage as well, simply because there are multiple plays or ways to go for your Crowley first turn that, searches a spellbook. And, you can just get rid of it with your Spellbook of Knowledge, I think. Send one way to draw 2. Or, go for Link Summon, go for Little Knight or whatever to get Crowley in the graveyard, so that's an easy link in the graveyard. It's not that hard. But, again, mid-game, that could be, worthwhile, simply because Cartesia can be get back from the graveyard with her effect, and, like an Ecclesia being still face up on the field, a regular level 4 monster, that's an easy level 8 synchro play. At some point I was running Quiem as well, as another normal summon, which in the combo, you can summon Quiem, send Cartesia, Foolish Her to the graveyard, and then as soon as an extra deck monster leaves, the extra deck, you can reborn that Cartesia, which in theory is fine, but it's very mediocre, because most of the time I just want to get Cartesia on the field. With the combo you just saw, like, as soon as your opponent attempts to special summon, maybe a big boss, a stronger monster, or even normal summoning, they can just attack over the Quiem on field, because she's kinda weak, 1500 defense. And then it didn't trigger, so you don't have Cartesia on field. So that's why I always prefer Cartesia over Quiem. And I dropped Quiem from the main deck because it's another normal summon. Hence why I'm only running 2 blue. I mean, again, it's very awkward if you open, like, blue and secrets, right? You want to use secrets for blue, or if you happen to open blue, you want blue to search out Spellbook of Judgment, right? And the deck, you don't really want to run too many normal summons. The Ecclesia is there as well, which could be a normal summon, rather not, especially going second. Speaking of going second, obviously this is a deck going first, but going second, it has a lot of tools as well. You have the Fenrir, obviously, the Imperms, etc. But the Ecclesia, it can special summon itself from the hand, right? As soon as an extra deck monster is on board. So that's already a free special summon. So that's already really nice. So, Spellbook, the Toon tables. Is it needed? Yes, no. Could it be dropped? It might. But again, 3 Judgments, I think it's pretty cool. Again, it's not a top tier deck, but it's, it works. It kind of works. So this attack doesn't really matter, but I had to fuel, sacrifice some life points to fuel Maximus, send both Darks to the graveyard to search Schism. Schism could potentially send a Dark from their side to the graveyard, but I think the level 12 Synchro is a light, right? So get all of the searches right. This is so cool. I'm pretty much set up for next turn. You have the Fleur-de-Lis for another monster negation. You have the combo with Cartesia and Schism. So as soon as my opponent attempts to special summon, go for Schism first, Chainlink 2, and then Cartesia Chainlink 3. So I still can special summon Grand Greek Null, send the Malong to the graveyard to bounce away the monster. Again, not give my opponent a potential way to tribute summon, right? To take over a stronger monster on my side of the field. I mean, if there was a Bestial, I mean, okay, it's a Bestial, but again, I still have Fleur-de-Lis, they make a mediocre play by tribute summoning, etc. So this should be my duel. So go for Blue Boy number 2, Spellbook of Judgment. Do I have any outs left? Not so sure. Again, the amount of spellbooks aren't that high. No power, it's not needed, useless. I feel, especially, going first, it does nothing. Only one Spellbook of Fate, the one that vanishes. Because sometimes I feel like I want to have a second one to search it out again. But you just don't want to draw it, because it's a useless brick going first. So I think just one is fine. Same for Wisdom, the one that protects your spellcasters from spells or traps. Also just fine as a one-off. So that, brings me to the fact that the amount of spellbook spells that you're running aren't that high. There is not a huge variety. But I think that's okay. You have so many searches. It's an underlying engine. Again, fuel your Spellbook of Judgment. So get hand trapped. Another hand trap, could I was about to say terrible news, but I mean, Nadir's Servant is a superb one. Magician's Souls could force out another hand trap here. Toon World, here in this case, forces out, or, you know, adds another spell activation, which wasn't needed. I think I used up too many spells again. You know, 4 is just fine, because 4 will replenish your entire hand, and you have that extra search off of the, what is it, Ash Dragon, during the end phase, right? Search Fleur de Lis. So that's more than enough, you don't need more. So anyway, get Maximus on field, and, you know, recycle through my resources, and at this point I was still running the, I mean, just going back in, going back out, but I think my finalized build, the build you just saw, is a bit better, more flexible, going second as well, with the, you know, Fenrir's, and running a little over 40 cards, with 3 upstarts, and again lowering the chances of opening multiple Toon Tables, right? So other options, are there other options? As you might have seen in the side deck, I'm not so sure. I like the build. I don't think I want to main deck more Spellbooks. I'm looking at the extra deck maybe a little bit. I have Savage in for now, but as you saw, if my opponent is able to break the board, sometimes I'm lacking some of the extra deck monsters. Sometimes maybe a second or Masquerina or a second Little Knight, for example, are all cards that I'm sometimes eager to. I wish I had the second one in my extra deck. But you know, those points, you know, mid game, late game, where the opponent is able to break the board, which, I mean, it's there. The chances are there, as you saw with Snatch Steal. So this is the deck list. Couple of moments. I like it a lot. 42, it's fine. No Yugioh, it's a brick, you don't need it, even though in theory it's again very nice, but you just don't want to draw it. So yeah, suggestions are all definitely welcome. Thanks for watching, feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. League signing out. Peace.